The education landscape is constantly evolving. Staying ahead of the trends is essential. Welcome to EdBuzz LA County, where we explore groundbreaking initiatives, inspiring stories, and innovative practices shaping the future of learning here in Southern California. Career technical education programs play a crucial role in preparing students for success in today's dynamic job market, offering them diverse career options and fostering a more well-rounded educational experience. I'm Elizabeth Grasswich, Executive Director of Public Affairs and Communications, and I'm joined now by Reina Flores-Hansen, Project Director for the Career Technical Education Unit, to talk about how CTE programs help address workforce needs and drive economic development. Reina, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me today.
I'm really excited about this topic. I feel like it's so important in our educational experience to be able to offer career technical education, but not everyone knows about it. A lot of people maybe go back to their days in school of like auto shop, woodworking, and it's like completely different now. So can you kind of tell our audience, like, what does career technical education look like today?
I'd like to say it's what you hope school would be, where you find your interests, you have a wonderful counselor, your teachers that help you discover who you are, your strengths, and then start developing it. And then you start working towards the academic parts of it. So you have the right language arts classes, you have the right courses all the way through, your electives help you flourish, and you walk right into either your college or workforce, have apprenticeships, internships. And as you're growing a little older, you're able to foster who you are in your work world. And before you know it, you're working in your dream job. So that's what CTE is becoming. It's becoming your development from cradle to college to the workforce. I'm hearing more and more education to employment. And it's fostering who you are. It's kind of a neat way to think you're walking into your dream job that you've been hoping for all through your lifetime.
And it covers a wide range of programs, right? Like everything from what a lot of people are familiar with, ROP, to like these career academies, which are really robust. Can you talk a little bit about that range of programs?
Well, what's nice about the variety is not everybody always can say, I want to be President of the United States. It starts out usually with running for president of your class or doing different areas of your hopeful field of study, and that's what ROP or your elective courses are for. I took an ROP class with childcare and development. I realized I wanted to be a high school person. So, it also kind of guides you in what you want. Where we have the academies, mostly I've seen medical academies and whatnot. So they're fostering children from very young ages, understanding what the health world is going to be. So maybe a biomedical academy helps students develop their areas in healthcare. So that's where you might see some differences. Is some are more electives and some are just very driven in your academies.
Well, and the academies are so cool to me, and you kind of referenced this before, because you'll maybe have an English class or a history class even that's like tied to the academy. For instance, I've seen culinary arts programs where they tie literally a history class to the culinary arts, or like writing to the culinary arts. Can you speak a little bit to that?
I love culinary arts because it's literally in my world. And when we thought about home economics, I failed terribly with my snickerdoodles. But and I will be honest with you. But now we look at culinary arts, it is an art. It's a beautiful art. And as students are learning from their parents or from grandma that makes these wonderful recipes, they find out it's a science. So when we're looking at the foragers, now we're seeing how it's climate resilience in our culinary arts. So it becomes more of a pathway rather than just it being an elective course of home economics. Now it's part of everything they're doing, part of their culture, part of what they're learning. The history, you're absolutely correct. Culinary arts and history is huge. And climate resilience, walking into their different programs, Cordon Bleu, going into the restaurant world, the hospitality world, and here in California, it's just it's a big job market. And how students are working with that. But I think the biggest aha with culinary arts is that it's a science.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, people don't always think of that, right? But with cooking, it is science.
It is complete science.
You know, it's interesting too. We talk so much about the changing workforce, right? And now we have this AI conversation that's going on, technology, what jobs are going to look like in the future. How do career technical education programs adjust to that changing workforce, knowing that there's new jobs coming? We don't really know what they are, but we're trying to prepare the next generation.
I think it's embracing it. And I'm usually, my tagline is more, we're not preparing our students for the future, but we are preparing the future for our students. And as our students are so much well versed in technology, it's not and technology. For them, it's like, oh no, duh, it's technology. This is the way we're going. In the culinary world, in the vehicle world, I mean, they're predicting we're going to have flying taxis for
right.
our Olympics.
Amazing.
So students are embracing it, and it's become a tool for them. And I think that's where our teachers are, is understanding how technology is the tool, not necessarily going to rob our jobs or rob our opportunities, but we are creating the opportunities with and around the technology.
Well, what is LACOE's role in supporting CTE in LA County schools and districts?
Well, that's the exciting part. We recently received the Golden State Pathways Regional Technical Assistance Center contract. So what we will be doing is what we've been doing, but at kind of hopefully a larger scale, is bringing to our districts, bringing to our LEAs, and that's all charter schools. Those are all schools from 9th to 12th grade especially, the technical information they might need, the record keeping programs that they're going to need to start building around how to evaluate their programs, whether they're effective, efficient, where our students are arriving once they get to the workforce, how long they're staying there. So there's a whole data area that we're going to be working on, and professional development, helping our teachers stay in the fields. It's really hard for our CTE teachers, because they go in the field, then they get their credential, then they go in the classroom, and having to bring them back to their field of study and keeping them current is always a challenge. So that's another area that we're working on, making sure that teachers are able to stay current with the professional development, teaching them how to be teachers. So, and then administration, how to keep the funding going and making it sustainable, so that what career we start now, a program we start now, 10 years from now, it'll still be going, whether the funding's changed. The other piece is bringing the workforce to the classroom. We're all busy in the workforce, and it's bringing them and asking them, can our kids come and be your interns? Can our students work an apprenticeship with you? So building those bridges. I like to say we're bridge developers. How do we bridge from the schools, either from elementary to middle to high school, and then high school to post-secondary, and also the industry, bringing the bridge. How do we get our students from here to there, and so that we're all working together? I mean, it's a real word of community.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought up the topic of bridges, because I think partnerships are a huge part of career technical education programs, and maybe something that not everyone knows about, and maybe something that businesses or organizations would want to get involved in. So can you share a little bit more about how people get involved in career technical education, and if people are interested, even what should they do?
Well, we here at LACOE, we do the CTE credentials program, so you can log on to our website, and if you want to be a teacher in your field of study, we do have courses, and we have the entire, the process of becoming a CTE teacher. And we do connect them to our school districts that are looking at building these pathways, and vice versa, where the schools are looking to build these pathways and they're like, we need a welding teacher. So then we do communicate and build that bridge. Our website is very important to us, because that's one way of accessing our credentialing programs as well as our academic programs soon to be teachers or soon to be employed by our different districts. We're also presently working on hopefully a directory where industry can log on and ask and just kind of say, look, we're open for 10 interns. Disney does that quite often with the internships where they're saying we have something in Van Nuys, we'll have something in Burbank, so where we can connect those individuals so that students have those opportunities.
You brought up the fact that a lot of these teachers have had a career and then they're getting credentialed. I mean, I've always thought that was so cool, right? Because then the students are hearing from people that were actually in the field. Have you seen how does that impact the students in terms of engagement and even interest in their jobs?
Being a role model is it's just so rewarding, and our students are hungry for that. They like to see people that made it and can do it. I think it gives them that hope that you did it, I can do it. And I think that's what is a strength for CTE, the engineers, or we do have a young man that was in Southeast Academy here in Norwalk, one of the nicest kids you've ever met, but Master Sergeant Schaefer has him in their program, and he's now at West Point. Oh, cool. So when they think of the old, you're in a CTE program, you're going to a vocational environment. This young man went straight from high school to West Point. Nice. So with scholarships and with the mentorship that you need. So that's where the mentoring comes in, and students are very open to that.
Well, and some students actually graduate or with certifications from these programs, right?
Yes.
A lot of them offer different types of career certifications.
Yes, especially in technology. Your Google, your Microsoft. The hardship that was happening was everybody was so easy to write on your application, I know how to use a computer. And then unfortunately, when they got there, they didn't. So the employers got very skeptical of hiring technology people or just from high school without that work experience. And that has changed with certification, knowing that they have the A+ certification, or in the medical field, you got your emergency technical medical certifications. And so those make a difference. It really helps students run from their courses into the work environment because they already have those certifications showing that they're proficient and they have the experience that they say they have.
It sold me on CTE programs. I was lucky enough to be able to visit several and be involved in several. And just it's the students' excitement. They're engaged, they're excited, they want to tell you about what they're doing, which is just so incredibly cool. And so I know we have a lot of really great programs across LA County. Can you share maybe some examples of some of the cool ones that you're familiar with?
Yes. At Kaiser Permanente, I had a young lady that actually filmed so that other schools could see. She went from Baldwin Park High School, one of the Baldwin Park Unified School Districts schools, and did the internships and the pathway for nursing through Kaiser Permanente. And what's exciting about this story is that during COVID, it was so tough because mothers lost babies. And they were alone because nobody could come into the hospital. So she built a box with the baby's items, and it just touches me, I'm sorry, items. And that way she had it was like a memory box. So she said the mothers thought they were going to go home with a baby, but they went home with an angel. And Kaiser adopted that practice, and they still do that to this day. Now she's in nursing management. She has her master's degrees. But just think, that was that intern that walked in from a CTE program as an intern at Kaiser.
That's awesome. What a beautiful story.
Who'd have thought she was going to make a difference during COVID?
Yeah, what a great story. I'm so glad you shared that.
That just touches me, I tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we close, a couple more questions, and one is just really related to funding. And, funding's always challenging related to K-12. Can you share a little bit about how CTE is funded and kind of hopes around that?
They're funded through state, federal, and private sectors. When we talk about Kaiser and Northrop Grumman, and those companies are making contributions and investing in our schools and in our programs, as well as the state. The state right now, the Golden State Pathway that I've been talking about, is $500 million. And they really are believing that this is going to help California recover from our ordeal that we just went through. A working California is a recovering California. And so they've put those large investments in, and they've also invested in dual enrollment, which it helps our local colleges in bringing students, actually having students in college while they're in elementary, middle school, and high school getting credits, looking at students receiving 12 credits before they graduate from high school. So those large investments are there, and they're coming, and we're really excited about it. Presently, all your LEAs are writing endless grants to be a part of developing these pathways seamlessly so that students are going from point A to point B.
That's just so awesome. When you look to the future, what is your greatest hope for CTE and the road ahead?
I'm a counselor at heart. I always say that's what I'll retire into, is being a counselor again. And that's what this part of me is so excited about with CTE, is being able to see what we hope to see when we talk about what I started with, is that idea of that child knowing, what do you want to be when you grow up, and fostering that throughout their entire academic journey into the work world. I also believe that's social emotional intelligence. When you're in a happy job, when you love your job, you're happy, and it just brings that satisfaction into your life that you're able to share. So I see career technical education rescuing California, because we're all working and happily working in our jobs because it's something that we've always wanted to do. So that's where I see career technical education making a difference, and having parents foster that with their children to see that happiness. Just think about it. You're going to love your job.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. And being well trained, well skilled. They talked about high demand, high skill, high wage. That's where career technical education is taking our students, is those seamless pathways of the future.
That's amazing. It's such important work. I want to thank Reina Flores-Hansen for sharing more about how the CTE programs can help bridge the gap between education and the workforce. I'm Elizabeth Grasswich. I'll see you next time on EdBuzz.